Hi, it's Will from stormthecastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is on something called the art of Bonkei. B-O-N-K-E-I. That is the Japanese art of tray landscapes. And I guess you could say it's the Japanese way of making dioramas. Pretty much the same thing, but they do have some very specifics. For instance, it is a landscape, and it is inside a tray. So I've, of course, ran with this in a little bit of a different way. I made mine a little bit heroic and a little bit maybe medieval, I guess you could say. Our adventurer is going to be facing a beast in the cave. Can you see the red glowing eyes of the beast? In this video, I'll show you how to make the Bonkei, the tray landscape. I'll show you a little bit about that, those LED eyes, how the tree is made, and how I sculpted the miniature figure. It's a fun little project, and let's take a look at a picture here. I like that. There it goes. Hey, do you see the rope on the cliff face? It looks like other adventurers have tried this before. Will this hero be successful?
Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something.
Okay, so like I said, Bonkei is the Japanese art of tray landscapes. So we're going to swipe a tray from one of my bonsai trees here. And we're going to use that tray because it's, well, perfect for this project. But if you don't have a thin, shallow tray like this, you can make one out of cardboard or foam board. And I'll show you here real quick how to go about it. Okay, you cut it like this. And you form it and glue it. Really quite simple. You can make it any size or shape you want. Square or rectangular. And yeah, it looks good. And if you want it to be a little bit stronger, depending on how much stuff you're going to put in there, you can always add in an extra piece on the bottom, like I'm going to do right here. But now you know how to make your own tray, which is kind of neat. You know we love foam board and cardboard, but I have that ceramic tray that we're going to use. So what do? First you design it out. And I was thinking about Bonkei for a while, and I was like, gee, you know, what's the scene going to be? And then it just kind of evolved for me what I wanted. Our little adventurer kind of landed on an island, and he's going to be facing something in a cave. So I drew out a bunch of sketches to try to figure out what I wanted. And for the tutorial, I figured some landscape, a tree, and a figure, and that'd be good. Maybe a little bit of water. Now to flesh it all out and to keep it light and easy to work with, I started with all the basic shapes with foam. And you can use styrofoam for this, or you can not, but it'll keep it light and makes it easy to work with. I just cut layers of this expanded polystyrene foam that you buy at the Home Depot. I'll have links to this kind of stuff to various foams if you want to buy some on the web tutorial. I did a rough carving of it all to about what I wanted. See, like that. The cave will be up there. And then I used a rasp to carve it. That's one of the things I like about this foam is you can really carve it really well. Just like El Guapo, the dragon, my dragon, is all carved out of the same exact foam. Looks good. We're pretty close to what we want. Oh, and the little miniature. All right. Oh, and here the LEDs. 2 LEDs with a resistor, and we have a pair of eyes for our beast. And the thing I like about this is the beast is very mysterious when all you see is his eyes in the dark cave. I wired it in with a little battery pack. 4 AA batteries in the pack. And we give it a test. And it looks good. Kind of creepy. almost, almost googly-eyed. I should have rotated one of those LEDs, I think. Well, anyway, okay, so now the landscape. I'm using air-dried clay. It's very inexpensive. 10 pounds of it cost me $10. But this clay does crack, and you'll see what I mean. And I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't know how much it was going to happen, but that's okay. We'll be able to compensate for that. And at this point is really a lot of fun. I like this part. You just have a lot of forming this cliff and all the landscape, the terrain and the shapes of it all. With the clay is very malleable. It's fun. All the rocks and pebbles on the beach and stuff like that. I like this part of it. I should really work with clay more. I mean, I do. If you follow my channel, I love miniature sculpting. Sculpting is just really a lot of fun. But there we go. Looks good. It's about done. Now look what happens when it dries overnight. That clay cracks quite a bit. But that's okay. We'll fix it by putting more clay for a second coat there. And you can use water, too, to soften up that clay and get it nice and smooth. And then we'll set it aside again and let it dry again. See, I'm using water there to smooth it all out. And that's that. So now let's ready. Once it dries again, let's paint it. And this is all base coat painting. I used blue for the river, the water, of course. Of course, it's more, I would say it's an ocean, not a river. And then you got to think about what your terrains you're going to have. So then you paint a base coat of color, that terrain color. A little bit of green, a little bit of different shades of grays, some browns. And the cliff is a lot of like granite. So that's a lot of grays. But this is all base painting. It's not, this painting doesn't really show up at all, almost. And I'll show you, because we're going to apply terrain materials to it. And now to apply terrain materials there, what you saw was I mixed white glue with water, half and half, and then brushed it on. Now I'm applying the various textures, the terrain materials, and that glue mixture will hold it in place. Here's some sand near the shore of the ocean, right? And there's more glue and more sand, and then different types of textures. Like, I have a whole bunch of different textures made by like companies like Woodland Scenics, train making textures, ballast, a lot of stuff. And I have tutorials on how to make this stuff yourself with all kinds of things: pencil shavings, grindings, wood chips. You can make your own terrain materials. And then you paint them and you dry them, and then you can sprinkle them on yourself. But you can buy bags of them like this. See? Blended turf by Woodland Scenics. And you put your glue on, and then you sprinkle it on, and just have fun with this. So I went ahead and did the whole thing, including the top of the cave and the cliffside, and with all base materials. So now you can see why that undercoat of painting wasn't that important. It's just an undercoat. And then when all that terrain material is done, then I added some rougher terrain. See the little bushes, and you glue those on. And then that's pretty much it. The landscape is done. So now I'm going to show you a little bit about the tree and the miniature figure. And I have full tutorials on these. I have a whole bunch of tree making tutorials if you want to make miniature trees. And I have a whole bunch of sculpting miniature tutorials. But the tree I made with just a lot of wire like this. And this is a really nice way to make trees. It gives you a lot of flexibility in the shape of the tree. See that? This is like a gnarled old tree. And in my mind I was like, he's a stubborn old tree. Even though he lives next to the beast, he hangs in there and he's gnarled about it. And the figure, I used a 2-part epoxy putty, which is what sculptors use, where you mix the 2 parts together, and then you have 2 hours for it to dry and harden. It'll harden like rock, but for 2 hours you can sculpt it, which is kind of nice. You should try this if you ever wanted to sculpt miniature stuff. I do have tutorials on it, full tutorials on how to do this kind of a thing. See, right now it's like clay, but soon it'll harden. And there you go. There's our miniature, I guess you could say, hero. But he's not of much use without his sword and his shield. So I did the same thing with those. I made armatures. And then sculpted clay on him. Excuse me, that's epoxy sculpt. It's a different type of two-part epoxy that you mix together. And then glued it all together, and he'd be ready for paint. So that's it. You can watch this while I'm doing that final process to him. You know, Bonkei is really a lot of fun. You could do it traditional. If you wanted to just make a traditional landscape, I went with something a little more mythic or medieval maybe, or heroic, you could say. But, let your imagination, go. Do any kind of scene you want to do. And it's just another type of diorama. And if you're interested in dioramas, I must have 500 pages on my website of diorama stuff. And I have to at least have, 250, at least 200 diorama projects of all kinds, including paper dioramas. Just a lot of fun. And this just Bonkei is just another aspect, to me, of a diorama making.
Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.